Thanks for joining me again as we look back at another great classic film. This is a genre-defying film, part western, part drama, part social commentary. Despite its small cast, it features many award-winning actors who give incredible performances, and the sparse landscapes of its locations act as an additional but silent character in this tight and tense story. It is Bad Day at Black Rock from 1955. The film was adapted from the short story Bad Time at Honda by Howard Breslin, which first appeared in the American magazine in January of 1947 with full-colour illustrations by Robert Fawcett. The original script was by Don McGuire, who had optioned the story for $15,000 and subsequently pitched it to MGM production head Dor Sherry. While MGM's president Nicholas Schenck was actively opposed to the film due to what he considered a subversive storyline, Sherry was sufficiently impressed to acquire the film rights and initially attached producer Sam Zimbalist, with George Sidney to direct. Sherry also hired Millard Kaufman to rewrite the script while allowing Breslin to novelise McGuire's original script under the pseudonym Michael Neal and publish it in 1954. The producers were worried about the title because of its similarity to John Wayne's recent film Hondo, so Kaufman changed the name of the town to Black Rock, which is a real town in Arizona. Richard Brooks was then attached to direct after working on the script with Kaufman, but pushed to get himself dropped. Richard Fleischer was offered the job, but Walt Disney wouldn't release him from post-production on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Vincent Minnelli was offered the chance to direct, but declined. Don Siegel called the screenplay the best he had ever read and lobbied unsuccessfully to direct the film. Finally, John Sturges, who to that point had made mostly film noirs, dramas and westerns, was hired with his involvement explaining the genre-crossing nature of the film. Shooting began a month later near Lone Pine, California, where the small town set had been quickly constructed. The area at the foot of Mount Whitney was chosen for its remoteness and the fact that it had an unused stretch of train track that once connected it to Los Angeles. While it was first announced that Joel McCrea would star, on the insistence of Dor Sherry, the lead went to 54-year-old Spencer Tracey, who was much older than the platoon leader in the original story. Many, including Tracey himself, thought he was too old for the role, so his character McCready was given only one functioning arm to convince Tracey to sign on. Just before shooting began, Tracey tried to back out of the picture, but whether it was the threat of a lawsuit or the suggestion that Alan Ladd was more willing to replace him, then Spencer stayed on board. Tracey was supported by a small but impressive cast that included 3 past and 2 future Academy Award winners, 1 past Academy Award nominee, and 1 future Golden Globe winner. Robert Ryan, Dean Jagger, Walter Brennan, John Erickson, Ernest Borgnine and Lee Marvin appeared alongside Anne Francis, the only female to appear in the film. With a $1.3 million budget, it was shot in colour using CinemaScope to emphasise a sense of menace in the isolated town. It was shot with the intention of having no musical score, only ambient sounds, but music was later added following poor test audience results. The heat and the altitude was exhausting and left nerves a little frayed. Spencer Tracey was the only cast member who was not fully cooperative on set and was having the hardest time due to his high blood pressure and alcohol withdrawal because he never drank while filming. Tracey told Sturges to avoid close-ups, probably because of his age, and hated doing additional takes, so almost all the scenes were completed in 1 or 2 takes. Tracey and Walter Brennan didn't get along due to their political differences, and during blocking for one scene, they communicated through John Sturges as they weren't speaking to each other. Tracey did, however, have a great respect for Robert Ryan as an actor. The shooting script called for onlookers and bystanders, but Sturges kept removing them, preferring to highlight the town's desolation with a minimal cast. The film's best-known scene is the showdown between McCready and Trimble in the cafe. It was done with stunt doubles and had to be toned down due to production code restrictions. The script involved the spilling of a lot of Trimble's blood before he passes out, but what was filmed was far more clinical. While Borgnine performed the final stunt himself, he was unaware that the doors had been nailed shut, making the final result so authentic. The film's story and tension had a very long, slow build-up, which is supported by an average shot length of about 10 seconds, above average for the period and far longer than modern films' average of about 4 seconds. When the movie fell flat during previews, in addition to the musical score, the opening with aerial shots of the train were also added. On its release, reviews were almost universally positive. John O'Hara in Collier's hailed it as one of the finest motion pictures ever made. Other reviewers noted its Western-style elements, comparing it favourably with High Noon. At the end of 1955, the New York Times included it in its list of the 10 best films of the year. Pauline Kael praised the direction and cinematography, calling it a superior example of motion picture craftsmanship. And Variety said considerable excitement is whipped up in this suspense drama, and fans who go for this tight action will find it entirely satisfactory. It premiered at Lowe's 72nd Street Theatre in New York City in December of '54 and went on to take close to $4 million domestically and internationally, finally earning the studio close to $1 million. It picked up Oscar nominations for Best Actor, Best Director and Best Screenplay, a BAFTA nomination for Best Film, a Palme d'Or and Directors Guild of America nomination for John Sturges, plus a Best Actor win for Tracey at Cannes, and a top 10 placing in the National Board of Review's Top Films of the Year. It has been described variously as a film with links to the samurai tradition and a crime drama with revisionist Western overtones. It is one of the first films to recognise discrimination against Japanese Americans during World War II and has been described as an indictment of both racism and McCarthyism in the way it delivers justice for the murdered Japanese American victim in the film. Many TV detective shows used a device similar to this film, that of a stranger entering a suspicious small town and uncovering a deadly secret, including TV shows such as Route 66, Cannon, Kojak and Remington Steele. It was selected for preservation in the National Film Registry in 2018, and it is one of the 1001 movies you must see before you die. And it was John Sturges' favourite amongst his own films. For years after the film's release, the title became a common catchphrase for a worst-case scenario. Lots of good reasons to watch this film, a first-rate cast in a taut drama that keeps building and building to a powerful conclusion. The widescreen colourless cinematography, to its credit, is both claustrophobic while also capturing the vast landscape of its locations. And its short running time of only 81 minutes will leave you wanting more. So what I'd suggest you do is that you go to our website, find our virtual screenings page, find the link to this particular film, definitely click on it and watch it, and as always we'd invite you to come back, let us know your thoughts about the film and whether you'd recommend it for other people as well. And then we're back in the not too distant future for our next classic films review. See you next time.